We have a lot of questions for Aija here, so we're going to stump the minister. Okay, so here's the first one. I love this. It has a little heart at the bottom. This is my first time here, and I'm unfamiliar with Unitarian Universalists. Can you share what makes this church/congregation different, or what the core message is here?
Oh, that is good practice. Let's see if I can do what I tell all of you to do when inquired. Unitarianism, at its heart, is a community and a faith that cares more about what you do than what you say. So when you come through our doors, we ask you to think deeply about how you want to be in the world and about how this place can help you live those values. However you get there is good. Whatever beliefs strengthen you to go out every morning and love harder and fight longer are welcome here. We are a place that cares what you do, not what you say. With a little asterisk that says, there are some things you can't say, and you can ask that question later if you want.
Okay, and along that line, how can we as individuals be encouraged to sacrifice for the common good?
You know, we've recently, as a faith tradition, started to talk less about our principles and more about our values. But even within our values, we always end by saying, we believe in all of these things with love at the center. I think when we cultivate practices of love for ourselves, which is sometimes the hardest person to love because we can't escape ourselves, love for the members of this community, love for this world, and the beautiful possibilities that we can see. I think when we cultivate practices of love, it's easier to get up and do the work in the morning. I think if we care concretely about people, even if it's just the person sitting next to you, who you know will be bummed if you don't show up on Sunday morning, who you know is expecting to meet you at the protest or wants to hear about how you called your supervisor so that they can figure it out as well. If we cultivate practices, usually there's like a theme here today. When we cultivate practices of love for ourselves and for the world, I think it gets us out in the world. And I think that's important, and that's like the deep heart spot. But I also think that we do by doing. When we actually go outside and do things, we do them more. So my family's motto is action is the antidote to despair. So if we are having a hard time, if you are having one of those days where you cannot imagine how the world is like this, do something. Plant a flower, call a friend, call a politician, go to the protest, do something, because it is worse when you sit by yourself doing nothing or doing this on your phone. Like, doing stuff begets doing stuff.
Okay, here's a big one.
Those two were small? What do we believe in? How are we going to save the world? Those were our lead-in questions? Awesome. Let's do this thing.
Is war inevitable?
I don't know. I mean, thus far, sure. I'm gonna do the dodge. I'm not sure I think that's the right question. I don't know if war is inevitable. I think conflict and fear are inevitable. I think when we get scared, we are going to look for someone to blame. We as individuals, and we as communities, and we as nations. It is easier to turn outwards than to turn inwards. And so I hope, we as humans will learn to deal with that fear and anger in more productive and creative ways. That's like a long-term project. For now, I hope that we as people can work on dealing with fear and anger in more productive and creative ways with ourselves and with our community.
Great.
And I don't know.
Okay, don't know. Several on this topic. What is worship and what are we worshiping?
It's a good question. And I think that each of us is going to have different answers to the second part of what are we worshiping. And I know worship is one of those words that we were talking about a couple weeks ago that is sticky for some people, that makes us kind of be like, eh. I think when we have that response, it's because we think of it as someone telling us that we are small and we need to be scared of / appeasing of something that is big. And that we are told that if we do not do the right thing and worship in the right way, the big thing might squish us like a bug. So this is where we get, did any of you have to read Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God in some classroom somewhere once? Where God is dangling a spider over the fire, just like, I wonder what's gonna happen. That was like an early metaphor for humanity and God, which you can see why we were like, no thanks, new theology. And I think we associate worship with that, like that we're the spider being like, please, 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 please don't hurt us. We don't do that. And we are small. And the world is big. And that can be scary, but it can also be profoundly comforting. I am not big enough to fix the world, even though our Protestant tradition and our Unitarian Universalism and our white supremacy culture tells us that we should think we are. We should think we're enough. Just our fabulous, empowered selves are enough to get through the day and get through life and make everything okay. And I am not. I don't know about you, maybe you are. Wow, we should trade jobs. But I am not enough to get through like an hour by myself, let alone a life. And there's something bigger. And that bigger thing might just be us, right? That might be enough for us. The bigger thing is the people who love us, the circles of care that go further and further out in the world. For some of us, that's enough. And sometimes, for some of us, we want something even bigger. The spirit of love that we've seen move through the world, that we've experienced. Moments where things happened, where we were taken care of, where we felt loved, even if we didn't feel like we deserved it. I think there is something bigger, and I think it's worth coming together in awe of the fact that there is something bigger than us, because I don't want to be the biggest thing. How that specifically looks to you is going to be a different question. We use different words. We have different images. But I'm struck with, there's a Emerson quotation in the back of our hymnal. This is the only time you're going to hear me quoting Emerson on purpose, off the cuff, that says, a person will worship something. It matters what you worship. So you might want to pick something that you can be proud to worship.
Good. Okay, good.
Let me guess, they're still building?
Oh, no, I got a couple big ones here, especially since
Drink some water while you think about it.
You mentioned white supremacy, so I'm going to go for some sticky stuff here. Okay, and one says, how do we achieve more diversity in our congregation? And then this one says they don't like the Black Lives Matter flag because it's discriminating.
Okay. We're going to take those two separately. We're going to start with the Black Lives Matter flag, I think, because it's actually sort of a narrower question. I assume when we say we don't like it, it's discriminating, we're saying that the argument, which I'm now making for you, but I have the microphone. The argument is that when we say Black Lives Matter, it is not acknowledging all the other lives that matter, right? This is the all lives matter argument. I think if that's not the argument you're making, we'll do this again next year. Write it on a card, we can talk about it. The problem with that is that in this country, for the last 400 years, we have acted as though Black lives don't matter. And we have specifically acted as though Black lives don't matter. As though they are disposable, they literally have been disposable for centuries of this country's community. And so that specificity requires a specific response. To say Black Lives Matter does not mean that Asian lives don't matter and Mexican lives don't matter and white lives don't matter. It is not a Black Lives Matter as compared to white lives. It is Black Lives Matter as compared to us saying they didn't. which we have said with our words and our actions for centuries, and that is a wrong that needs to be redressed, and it needs to be specifically redressed. So that's the first thing. The second thing, how can we become more diverse? Again, wrong question. If we want to be more diverse because we would like to look around and see more people who look different, we will never become more diverse because that is still centering our experience as white people, which I'm recognizing that not everyone in this room is a white person, but I am going to speak as the white minister for a majority white congregation to say that if our goal is to feel better about the fact that we are a majority white congregation, that is unsuccessful anti-racism. If the goal is to be in solidarity with communities of color, there are things we can do to make that happen. Sometimes that leads to more diversity in our pews. Sometimes it just leads to us having better friends and being invited to better picnics. So things like, again, the theme, showing up when we're asked to by people who are protesting for communities of color in this community, are the ways that we become in real relationship with people. And real relationship matters more than what it looks like in the picture. So we show up for folks. We sometimes are in their pews, also very fun. Sometimes more people come in, and sometimes we are just stronger together out in the world, which I think is a good starting place at least.
Thank you. New topic here. What is something you wish more people knew about you?
Y'all know a lot about me. What I wish more people knew about me. Here's the thing that no one believes. I am profoundly and deeply introverted and shy. I am. I love being here with you on Sunday mornings. I love this. This is great. I can talk to hundreds of people, but like 3 is rough. If I'm ever awkward and weird, it is not because I do not like you. It is not because I do not love you. This is my truest truth. And sometimes in a group of 3 people, I can't figure out what to say. So, also, if you are introverted and shy and thought, I could never stand up there and do that, you totally can. Ask me how.
It's true. You've heard that from me. When I was 30, I thought, I wish I could get up in front and talk to a room. I used to think that. I watched Marlene Abel do it. See, now I can. It's your turn next. Okay. Let's go with this longer one here. Why do so many people believe in the actual existence of heaven and hell when this is a preposterous mythical fabrication of what happens to us after death?
Okay, so you know how I asterisked earlier, there's some things you can't say? We do not call other people's beliefs preposterous and mythical. Mm-hmm. So, now you know. Mm. You know how I was saying I want something bigger than me? I think we all want something bigger than us. And some of us name it literally, and some of us don't. But to me, the idea that I know what happens after I die is preposterous and mythical, but it's preposterous and mythical for the whole range. It's preposterous for me to say, I know there's a heaven, and it is equally preposterous for me to say, I know there isn't. You know why? I haven't died yet. Someday, I look forward to finding out what happens. I think it'll be interesting, but I don't know. And to suggest that I should, not only that I should know for myself, but I should know for someone else, feels to me like me trying to make myself God, to make my beliefs the ones that everyone else has to follow. And so, if the idea of a literal heaven and hell is preposterous for you, that's great. You are not the cosmos. I am not the cosmos. Who knows? And side note, there are people who, all of us at some point, and some of us more than is fair, live lives that are almost impossible to bear, who have been done wrong to in ways that, as my favorite She Doesn't Know She's a UU hymn writer Kesha likes to say, only God can forgive. There are times where you need to believe that a bad thing will happen to the bad person who's doing it to you. Does that mean I think it is literally true? No, but some days that's what gets us through our day. I'm thinking that that person who did us wrong, that the universe will balance somehow. And some of us that's karma, and some of that's hell, and some of it's like, I believe you're gonna get a parking ticket. I don't know. Sometimes you need something to get through the day. And whatever gets you through the day is good. Like, life can be really hard. And if it gets you that next step, please get there. And believe in it for me too. I need help getting through that next step as well.
Yeah, I think this goes with that because it says, how can we keep up our spirits in the face of so much terrible news? And as you just said, whatever gets us through our day.
Whatever gets you through the day, and I want to, we're doing Rumi today. I'm going to get this wrong-ish, but the paraphrase is, there is a special medicine that is given only to those whose hearts cannot be soothed. Look into the face of a person you love. That's step one. Any day where you're having a hard time dealing with the world, look into the face of someone you love.
Thank you. Okay, here's a concrete question. What does the chalice mean?
Ooh. History lesson time. Okay. The chalice, the symbol of our faith, was, in a truly Unitarian Universalist, we are practical above all things, essentially designed by a graphic designer because we needed a logo. But like for a really good reason, because it was invented by the people who were part of the Unitarian Service Committee during World War II. So they wanted something that symbolized what they were trying to be, a light in the darkness, people offering hope to people who didn't have any. And so the flaming chalice started as something they could put on their letterhead that represented who they were, but also maybe would make people take us seriously, because if you have a logo, clearly you are to be taken seriously. And we have slowly adopted it. So that is its origins, a combination of PR and the best work some people ever did in their lives. And lighting the chalice is who here has been to more than one Unitarian Universalist church? They do all the same things all the time?
No.
No. Should they do this? Not always. The thing most commonly done amongst us is lighting a chalice. Of our congregations, in all of their beautiful, wacky, individualistic glory, almost all of them start by lighting a chalice. Most of our meetings start with lighting a chalice. Many of our prayers start with lighting a chalice. So the meaning is something we've been making every time we light the chalice. It connects us to every other community that has lit the chalice and every other person who has lit the chalice. And it makes the symbol thicker and thicker and thicker every time we do it. We become part of this living tradition. And the symbol is less the chalice and more us lighting the chalice.
Thank you. What are your hopes and dreams for UUP children and youth?
Okay. I'm going to say, Nancy, pick your two best for after this.
Two best?
We got to
Okay,
wrap
right,
it up.
'cause we're gonna wrap it
I
up.
will keep the cards and we'll get to them. My hopes and for the children and youth of UUP. Oh, God. This is going to take a minute. I want kids to know that they are loved and beloved by this place. And I want them to know that not because we tell them that, but because we act that way at all times. I want them to know that this is a safe landing place forever. Not because they did anything, not because we sprinkled water on them. Though we're going to do that in a couple weeks, and it's going to be fun. We're having a baby dedication. But just because they are. That just because they are always welcome, needed, and wanted here, and we will attend to them. That is what I want for this place. And I want to send spirit-filled, loving and loved people out into the world. So the long-term goal is to raise spirit-filled, loving, and loved people who have a very clear and comprehensive understanding of human sexuality. We're teaching OWL this fall. If you have a middle schooler. I sometimes think if all we did was raise kids who we taught to respect their own bodies and other people's bodies, like Diane knew, that would be enough. Happily, we do some other stuff, but that would be enough. So, I want our kids to know that they are loved and that we are here. I want us to act in ways that make them realize that at every single moment. And I want to send people out into the world who can continue the generational work of building beloved community, because a thing that I have always known but has been made more present than I would prefer in the last couple months is that our work is generational. We are not going, nothing that is worth doing will be quick. We will not see it. So we need to raise the generations who will continue the work without feeling overwhelmed. I have like 15 more thoughts, but we need to wrap it up. So ask me more later. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up, and we've got enough for 5 more sermons here. So,
everyone I told I was going to do this was like, I hope you get enough questions.
yeah, like I'm fascinated by the ones like here we've got suffering, grief, and dying. We're gonna hang on to these here, and like those of you wondering what is your go-to intervention when you get stuck in anger, confusion, or pure craziness. Thinking like when you're out there with the protesters, do you have to keep your cool sometimes?
Yes. Speaking of, are we being protested in a joyful way?
Catholics.
The Catholics. Awesome. Excellent. Well, they are finding the spirit.
That means it's time to sing, right?
Yeah. So is that my last question? What do you do when you are trying to...
It is a real one, but I think, is it more than we can do right now? No.
No,
Okay.
I told y'all a couple months ago that telling someone else to take a breath is not helpful. Don't do that. No one responds well to being told to take a deep breath, even if you can tell they need to. But I do take a deep breath myself. You can tell yourself to take a deep breath. In fact, if you're ever in a situation where you want to tell someone else to take a deep breath, take one yourself. Just do it for them. Just breathe and breathe and breathe, and eventually we'll get there. I do try to come back to breathing in the hardest moments. Sometimes I am reminded by my little to come back to dancing and singing. I find it hard to rehearse arguments in my head when I'm singing, because that's what I do. I start being like, well, I'm going to type. And sometimes I get in fights with other protesters, and one of the ways that I interrupt is I try to remember that it has never once worked. Yelling at someone has never once gotten them where I want them to be. Telling someone that they are wrong has never once convinced them that they are wrong. Telling people I am right has never convinced them that they are wrong and I am right. So in the moment when I get wrapped up, I have to, the better version is take a deep breath and find my center, and the practical version is remember it's not going to work out. There are ways to engage the world in dialogue, but yelling at people is sadly not it. I would like it to be it, because that seems more fun to me, but it's ineffective as a long-term strategy. And then a final little note, that sometimes you actually just have to be angry and sad and rage. Like, I don't suggest doing it at other people, unless there are other people who are also angry and sad and you have like entered into a consensual relationship to be angry and sad together. But I think religious people want to move to like meaning and peace, sometimes too quickly. And sometimes the appropriate response is anger and sorrow and grief and screaming into the void. We shouldn't stay there, but sometimes we do need to live there for a little while to try to find our inner spiritual perfect. Too soon? Just means we're spending all of our energy trying to tamp down feelings that are real. And that's not helpful. It's not good for the spirit or the digestion. So sometimes before we get to interrupting, we have to sit with being sad and mad and frustrated because it's not like there's spiritual things and those things. It's all of the spirit and it's all of the world. The bad feelings are holy too. We just don't want to live in them forever. Seems like a good ending.
Good, thank you, Aya.